Chef Tim here, naturalchefmeals.com, providing gluten-free cuisine using only the local and organic ingredients. That means nutritious and delicious every time. In addition to our gluten-free prepared and packaged foods, as a personal chef, I provide meals to meet your specific dietary needs at an affordable price. I also conduct private cooking classes, food demonstrations, and community outreach activities. Whether you're lactose intolerant, celiac, diabetic, vegetarian, vegan, or raw, my goal is to provide nutritious and delicious cuisine you can afford, combining innovative nutrition education with gourmet meals using only the very best ingredients. Visit us today at naturalchefmeals.com. Today we're going to be talking about gluten-free for everybody. What is gluten? Gluten comes from the Latin word meaning glue. Gluten has two main components, gliadin and glutenin. Research has shown that these glycoproteins, specifically gliadin, is the main culprit in causing gluten sensitivity and celiac disease. Now, foods that commonly contain gluten are wheat, rye, barley, oats, spelt, kamut, and lentils. Rye, barley, and oats are okay for you if you don't have celiacs or a gluten intolerance, because they are wheat-free. Now, some of your common everyday processed foods containing gluten are breads, pastas, cereals, muffins, bagels, and pancakes, your pizzas, your fried foods, your canned soups and lunch meats, pretty much anything that you can get at a fast food restaurant, a little corner diner. You know, that stuff's going to pretty much contain gluten and all their sauces and bases and stuff like that. Now, soy products, texturized vegetable protein and texturized soy protein, as well as tempeh, tofu, and most importantly, soy sauce, is fermented with wheat berries. So the only alternative you have to that would be a tamari sauce. Tamari is not fermented with wheat, so it is gluten-free, and basically you can swap that right out. That's an easy one. Now, how does gluten affect the body? Well, there's quite a wide range of symptoms, including bloating, gas, abdominal cramps, diarrhea, weight loss or gain. Chronic fatigue syndrome is associated with it, depression, all types of vitamin and mineral deficiencies, ADD. It aggravates autism as well as Asperger's syndrome, and involuntary muscle spasms that imitate paralysis are also very common, as well as delayed cognitive development in children with celiac disease. So giving you a little more research here, celiac disease is the most common cause of malnutrition in children in Western countries. So that would include Canada, the United States, and the United Kingdom. Now, a lot of body abnormalities are found in children when they're diagnosed with celiac disease. But there's good news about that, and I'll get to that later. Gluten intolerance has been shown to contribute to many neurological and other serious disorders. And many children with type 1 and type 2 diabetes have undiagnosed celiac disease. As I said before, type 1 and type 2 diabetic children will respond extremely well to a gluten-free diet. Children with autism and Asperger's can also benefit from a diet free from gluten. Now, this is interesting. With the gluten-free approach to your diet for your children, you can reverse, and research has shown this, you can reverse body composition abnormalities quickly by getting right to the root of it in the beginning. So you might be asking yourself now, what can I eat? You've been telling me everything I can eat. What can I eat? Well, you can eat gluten-free grains such as amaranth, buckwheat, corn, millet, quinoa, and wild rice. You can also use quite a variety of gluten-free flours, rice, corn, tapioca, etc. Well, you can make an amaranth, millet, and quinoa porridge with some nice almond milk or even your regular milk, just as you would oatmeal. And of course, you can find gluten-free oats. They're pretty commonly made now, so you can get gluten-free oats and still make your traditional oatmeal like you would. Potato pancakes are another great thing that can be used. You can use a quinoa flour or a brown rice flour instead of your traditional white flour that you might add to it. And a nice little salad deal would be a wilted kale with wild rice and a nice mustard vinaigrette, or even some type of enchilada, maybe cheese or beef or chicken enchiladas with a corn masa flour, which is also gluten-free. So that's gluten-free for everybody. And today we're going to be making linguine marinara with grass-fed beef and buffalo meatballs. And for our vegans, we're going to be making a vegetable quinoa casserole, as well as Mediterranean herb stuffed mushrooms, which can be made either vegan or vegetarian. Chef Tim here again. Today we're going to be doing linguine marinara with buffalo and grass-fed meatballs. So first we're going to start out with puffed millet cereal. And as you know from earlier in the demonstration, millet is one of the safe grains for you with gluten intolerance. This is, very, very inexpensive, no salt in it, no sugar added, nothing, just straight puffed millet cereal. So we're going to be putting 2 cups of this puffed millet cereal, and we're just going to be pulsing that right in to our food processor here. I'll give it about 4, 5, 6 pulses. After a few pulses, this is the consistency that you're looking for with the millet. So we're starting off with a couple of pasture eggs. So we're just going to crack our eggs. Okay, we're whisking the eggs. Want to get the eggs really mixed up in there. And while we're whisking in the eggs, we're going to add a little bit of our seasoning. And in this seasoning we have some garlic, granulated garlic, basil, oregano, some salt, some white pepper. Once we've got that in, we're going to add a little bit of our cheese in here. We have a little Asiago Romano cheese, Pecorino Romano cheese mixture. So we're adding a little bit at a time just to kind of get, a consistency in there going. So we've got a 50-50 grass-fed buffalo, grass-fed beef mixture. We're putting that right into here to our mixture, which is the egg, the Romano cheese, as well as the seasonings. Once we get that all in, I'm going to start mixing it. I really want to start incorporating that. And this is the point where we're going to go ahead and start adding in our breadcrumbs. So you want to get all that seasoning and everything mixed in there. Now we're going to add our breadcrumbs, which is of course puffed millet. And we're going to add just a little bit at a time here. A little bit, kind of stirring it, mixing it in just a little bit. And you might have to add some water, you might have to add a couple of other things to this just to kind of get the consistency that you're looking for, depending on whether or not you like a drier meatball or you like something, with a little more, flavor to it. And we've got quite a bit of cheese here, so we're going to go ahead and add about another 1/4 to 1/2 cup of that grated cheese. That's going to give it a really, really rich flavor. So once you've got the consistency that you want in the meatballs, it's time to start rolling. So we're going to take just about a little bit. Depends on how big of balls you want, you know. You might want a little smaller ones, or you might want, you know, medium. I'm going to go with about a medium-sized meatball today. And I have to mention, these aren't your mother's or your grandma's meatballs, because this has grass-fed beef and buffalo in it. So we're just rolling these up. I want to make sure they're rolled really good. You don't want them to fall apart. And it looks like we're going to have about 5 here. So once we've got the meatballs to the size and they're the way they're supposed to be, which is nice and tight, we're going to go ahead. It's going to turn our burner on here. And we want to let this heat up for about 30 to 45 seconds. So we're going to put a little bit of grapeseed oil in here. And you might ask, why am I putting grapeseed and not olive oil in here? The reason is you have a higher smoke point. You don't want to smoke out the olive oil when you're cooking the meatball. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our meatballs and we're going to get a little sizzle and a sear on these. Put them in the pan. Leave them alone. Do not touch them. Let them cook completely on one side. So these are about ready to turn here. You can tell they're ready to turn when they start to get cooked on about halfway through. So I'm using a fork because it's just easier to pull it up and turn them. So that's how we want them. We want them really just to be cooked evenly as much as possible. And you know what? I'm going to turn this down a little bit. That's getting a little too cooked too fast there. So once they've been quite seared on both sides, you want to go ahead and put them into your sauce. Now this is just a traditional marinara sauce. You can use canned or fresh tomatoes. I happen to use fresh tomatoes. And just, you know, some more of your Romano cheese, a little bit of olive oil, some fresh garlic, and, you know, any of your seasonings that you might use. So we're putting these meatballs into the sauce. So after we've put the meatballs, we just want to let them simmer slowly in the sauce. Give them about 20 minutes, a half hour. So you might be wondering, we're having spaghetti and meatballs or linguine and marinara, and it's gluten-free. What about the pasta? What are we going to do? And I know you don't really want that brown rice, just nasty stuff that they sell commercially. This is really the best stuff that you can buy. And it's called Ancient Harvest, and it's a quinoa corn pasta, certified organic, and I have to tell you, it tastes delicious, and it's absolutely gluten-free, and I just can't say enough about this product. I love this product. You can pick it up at any health food store, Whole Foods, anywhere around. Now we're putting the pasta, I got about 4 ounces here, in a salted bath of water. We're going to bring it back up to a boil. So after the pasta's cooked, we're just going to go ahead and get that all, and try to, in one clump, put that right in the middle there. As best as we can, try to elevate it. We're going to go ahead, we're going to drop our meatballs. So, you know, right on the outside. A little nice presentation here. We're going to go right over the top. Some more sauce. With a little bit of Parmesan cheese. A little bit of parsley. Give our little rim a little wipe there. And there you have it. Traditional linguine marinara with buffalo and grass-fed beef.
Next today we're going to be making the vegetable quinoa casserole. So we're starting out with a pan, and we're going to take some pecans. These pecans have already been candied, so we're going to put those aside and move on to our next step. Our next step is we have 3 carrots, so we're going to go ahead and dice our carrots up. Two stalks of celery, same dice as the carrots. Once again, this does not have to be perfect. This is a rustic dish. You just want to give those just a quick dice. I'd say it's about a medium small dice on that. Just want them to be around relatively the same size so everything cooks evenly. 1 medium onion diced as well, in half. We're going to peel this part off here. And then we're going to take this, and we're going right down, making little slits, not all the way to the end, leaving a little space at the end. And then we're going to go 1 cut across, almost to the end, and another cut across, almost to the end. Then we take our onion, we hold it tight, and 1, 2, 3, just like that, right down. And as you can see, those pieces are really nice and diced. And you see, get to the end here, go a couple times that way, and a couple of times back this way. You got the same dice. Removing all these little peels and any other stuff. Carrots, celery, onion, about an even amount of each one. What this is a base for most sauces, stocks, and soups, and is used in pretty much French, Italian, and all different types of cooking. So that's what we have there. Moving on, we have our 1 cup of packed kale. We're going to take our kale and we're kind of just going to roll it up like this, just like you would be doing like a chiffonade cut on on basil or some other type of herb. And we'll just go that way, and then we'll go back this way. Once again, this is really rustic. You really don't have to get, you know, perfection on this. So after that, we're going to move on to our tomato. We're going to dice our tomato the same way that we diced our onion, once in half long ways. Then we're going to take it and we're going to make a couple of slices right in here like this. Next, we're going to add just a little bit of diced, quite a large, medium-large dice of butternut squash here. After that, we're going to add some mushrooms. Same thing with the mushrooms that we do with the onions, once again, but I'm just going to go right down there like that, and we'll just go 1 time in half. And that's good right there, just like that. So once you've had everything prepped here, sliced up and diced, we're going to go ahead and heat up our frying pan once again. We're going to add a little bit of oil, grapeseed oil always. You know, you really don't want to use olive oil in your cooking unless you're using it to finish off, because it's got a very low smoke point, about 320 to 25 degrees. And you put your stove on medium-low, and that's 325 degrees roughly. You just get that heat up. We're going to throw in our carrots, celery, onions, all of it. Our whole entire mirepoix is going right in there. We're going to add in the kale as well. Sauteing all that. I'm going to saute this for about 2-3 minutes. You know, you might have to add a little bit more oil. But not much. You just want that to cook down for 2 to 3 minutes. And once everything has been sauteed, you're going to add in the rest of your butternut squash, your sliced portobello mushrooms, and your tomatoes. Give that a really good stir. And you just want this to reduce for about another 3 to 5 minutes. This is the point where we're going to add our seasoning, which is rosemary, some thyme, some salt, and some white pepper. I'm not a big fan of black pepper. It's commonly used in every single kitchen, every single restaurant. Chefs use it all the time. The problem with black pepper is that it causes a lot of dehydration, and a lot of people are actually allergic to black pepper because they eat it so often. And right here I have a low-sodium vegetable, gluten-free bouillon cube that is also vegan. You get this at your health food store. We're adding our bouillon cube in, and we're adding about another ½ cup of water. So we've added the bouillon and the water in, and we're just letting that reduce down for another minute. Once that's done reducing, we're taking our quinoa, which is 2 cups of golden quinoa, which you know is gluten-free from what we've showed you before. And we're going to mix that right in. You do not need to add any more salt. The bouillon, which is a low-sodium bouillon cube, and the little bit of salt I added before is plenty of salt. So we're just mixing that in, really trying to incorporate that in. Of course, your quinoa can be cooked the night before, and all of your vegetables can be chopped and prepared ahead of time. That way you can just come right home from work and just put it all together, throw it in the oven, and it's just like a casserole. It is a casserole, and it's vegan. Once it's in the casserole dish, you're just going to go ahead and pop it in the oven. And once you've pulled this casserole out of the oven, the next thing to do is add a little bit of olive oil, just to finish it off. And that's when you go ahead and add in your candied pecans that you had done earlier. You just pour those right in. Mix that in really well. Wow, does that smell really good. Our next recipe we're going to be showing you is a vegetarian stuffed mushroom. And we have some finely ground walnuts here, organic of course, and raw. And then we have some finely chopped parsley. Our seasoning mixture, which includes quite a few Italian seasonings: basil, parsley, thyme, oregano, garlic powder. You know, the recipe basically is following this presentation, so you can see everything that's in it. And then we've got an Asiago and Romano cheese mixture. And of course, we've got our stuffed mushrooms. Now we've taken, I know they don't look pretty, but we've taken the insides out of the mushrooms. And we're now going to stuff them. So first, we're going to start with our nuts. We're going to take our walnuts, we're going to put them in the bottom of our thing. Then we're going to take our onions mixed in with it as well. Let's go ahead and drop our seasoning in there. A little bit of parsley. And of course, some extra virgin olive oil. We're just going to stir that around with our hands here. You just want to really incorporate that so that all the seasonings are in there. And you're going to take your mushrooms And you're just going to stuff them. Just like that. Once they've come out of the oven, I'm just going to pop them right on a platter here. And these are ready to go. And there you have it. 3 beautiful gourmet meals, gluten-free, local, organic, everything you want, and very, very easy to prepare in your home. I hope you enjoyed our recipes that we prepared for you today, and we can't wait for you to try them at home. Don't forget to check us out at naturalchefmeals.com. We can also be found on Facebook, Twitter, and soon to come, Meetup, and as you're watching on YouTube right now, this is our first cooking show. Thank you so much.